for a point in time. Up until that time, there's no new data points in there from September to now, but it looks pretty exciting to me because it seems to be quite a nice summary of what's going on in the supply-demand side of things in this market.
Yeah, it's just hot off the press. We've been working on it behind the scenes for some time, but now it's just been made public. And for people who haven't followed the WNA's Nuclear Fuel Report, it's put out every 2 years, and it looks in detail at the whole nuclear fuel supply chain. So there's a demand subgroup, which I co-chair, and that determines what the demand for nuclear fuel will be, in this case from 2019 out to 2040. And then it looks at the different aspects of that nuclear fuel supply. So there's uranium supply, conversion, enrichment, fabrication, and it finishes off with a little bit of discussion about how they all come together with supply and demand graphs, which I think are some of the most interesting aspects of this report for investors in this sector. So that's a document that comes out in September, and it's available, first of all, to WNA members, and otherwise it's available for purchase at a price that I think is very reflective of its value, but it's not particularly accessible to, for instance, retail investors. It's something like 800 quid. So it's quite an impost on a retail investor trying to get behind the information there.
Okay, but you've now decided to put out this expanded summary, which covers most of the. I mean, not all the juice is given up on this, but on the main report. But you've highlighted and gone through the micro ecosystem that nuclear and uranium inhabits. And I actually think you guys have done a good job. I mean, for someone who's coming new to this, whether they just be interested parties or investors, it's a really concise summary of that ecosystem. So I think, well done for that. I mean, I got to ask the question. So, it's 9 months later. So one, why does it take so long? And then two, what were you hoping to achieve with this document?
Yeah, so look, first of all, the credit needs to go to WNA Secretariat. They're the people who've done all of the heavy lifting. As you know, I've played a role in the report itself as a member of some of the committees and co-chairing the demand committee, and also played a review role and a little bit of touch-ups on this summary. But the hard graft has been done by WNA and Olga Skolyokova in particular. So all credit to her and the team there. So it is staggered, I'd say. I wouldn't necessarily concede a delay because it has been intended to be that way. What WNA were trying to achieve is that the main report in all of its detail and glory is available to members and those who are prepared to pay for it. And obviously there's media and others who receive complimentary copies. And then this comes out with a staggered approach so that the information's available for free without diminishing the value proposition for the main report, as I say, for members and those who are paying for it. In terms of what it's achieving, well, it's the first time that WNA's done this. So we're feeling our way a little bit. Some of the things that I motivated initially with the concept when myself and Olga and some others were throwing around ideas as to how we can add value to the main report was for the investor community, which is one of the audiences that the Nuclear Fuel Report is designed for. What it enables is people to get behind the key graphs. So the key graphs have made it into the public domain through WNA presentations, and you would have seen some in Twitter, and some companies have picked up the key graphs in their own promotional materials. So the Bannerman corporate update, for example, Uranium 2020 that's on our website, that includes one of the graphs, and it's very useful for us. But it's harder for people, or been very hard for people to get behind what's the methodology, what are the three scenarios and what's behind them. How exactly has WNA gone about constructing the supply side, constructing the demand side? What's the thinking behind why some projects are in one category and other projects are in another category? And for the people who really want to get technical, there's quite a lot of discussion about load factor methodology and exactly how WNA builds up their demand projections. So it's most of what you would need to be able to construct a model. Now, if you buy the full report, then you can, of course, check the WNA numbers at a granular level against your own model. But for somebody who's looking in detail at the space, this is now a fully accessible and free version that they can go back to. And whilst it is 9 months late, or staggered, as I'm prepared to say, look, we're talking about a horizon that goes all the way out to 2040. So I don't think it's lost value because of that. You know, people aren't accessing this information and using this information to understand where nuclear's at in 12 months' time. This is the industry's view for 3 different scenarios as to where nuclear can be at all the way out to 2040. And that hasn't lost any relevance through the passage of that time.